Hey guys, I've just come to have a look at this little aluminium dinghy which the owner is getting rid of. I think it's a 14 foot. Hasn't been in the water for quite a few years. It's a bit of a mess. The trailer looks okay. There's a bit of rust down there. Yeah, looks like it's had a few repairs to the rivets there. There's not a lot of corrosion on the hull. These rivets start leaking sometimes on these old Virans. Mariner 30 horse. You hold that up. Yeah. Sometimes these tend to crack at the transom, but this one doesn't look too bad. Looks pretty solid. That transom still looks pretty solid. It actually doesn't look too bad under there. Self-mixing two-stroke. Still turning over alright. I'll just check those wheel bearings and we'll get it out of here and give it a good clean up and see if I can get that motor going. It's got a bit of a flat spot on the tyre there. It's been sitting on that spot for a while. That is actually a little bit cracked. It's still pretty solid though. Those bearings feel good. Still got a little bit of a flat spot there, but I think that'll come right. This other one is flat, so hopefully that tyre's okay. It's not too badly cracked, it might be okay. It's definitely worse than the other side. Well, it seems to be holding air. It must just have a slow leak. No, I think that'll be alright to get home. It's definitely got a bit of a flat spot there though. I think I'll feel that on the road. Alright, looks like this piece here holds the motor up when you're travelling. Just on there. well, we made it home okay. Those tyres stayed up. They're holding here. It's actually very light to tow, being an alloy boat. I'm used to towing fiberglass boats, which are quite a bit heavier, but I didn't really even feel this on the back. First of all, I'll get everything out of it and give it a good water blast, clean it up, see if there's any structural problems or cracks in the hull, and then I'll have a go at getting this engine going. And if we get that running, then I'll carry on and fix up that trailer and do a bit more on it. Bonus, full container of two-stroke mix. Nice, they're not cheap. Some low-life scumbag stole their fuel tank and just cut it there. And that's when they stopped using it, because they didn't get around to getting a new fuel line for it. So I'll get another one of those. Bilge pump down the bottom there. The wiring's pretty messy, I'll have to tidy that up. So that actually looks pretty good under there so far. No major corrosion, which is good. Right, that's the worst of the leaves out of here. Let's have a look at that hull. Corrosion spot. It's just basically on the surface. So it doesn't look too bad. So I'll just go around and make sure there's no big cracks or anything. It's looking pretty good so far. No big gaping holes. The reason I vacuumed the leaves out rather than just water blasting it is because those leaves would have just blocked up all the drain holes and it would take even longer to drain the water out. Oh well, that came up pretty nice. What do you reckon, mate?
Yeah.
Looks good, eh?
Yeah.
Let's see if that steering wheel works. Turn the engine a bit. Yeah, it does. Is that hard to turn?
No.
Do it the other way.
Okay.
Keep going. Is it hard?
No.
Good. Do it all the way. Yeah, that seems to be steering alright. Nice. Alright, that'll do us, I think. Should we see if we can get this engine going, buddy?
Yeah.
See what we're dealing with. So it's a two-stroke engine. This is the oil reservoir here. Oh, yep, there's plenty of oil in there. Good. See, Toby, that mixes the two-stroke oil with the petrol. Because two-strokes take mixed petrol, don't they?
Yeah.
Mixed fuel.
Yeah.
Yep. Right, we need to get some fuel in there first of all. So the line has been cut when the tank was stolen. So we've got to replace that first of all. We've got a spare one though, haven't we? What kind of fitting do we have here? Oh yeah, it's just that standard fitting, Toby.
Yep.
So we'll go and grab our one and put it on there. I've got a new fuel tank here full of fresh fuel, and got a new line here which I think is the right size. Looks tight, fits. So we pump the fuel through here. See? Hear that? That's air going through, and now there's fuel. Yep, it's getting fuel. Oh yeah, there it goes. Yep, that's fairly clean. It's just a bit of rubbish down the bottom there. Give that a bit of grease this time, so it's a bit easier to undo next time. Alright, we'll give that a squirt and see if it's sealing. Yeah, looks good, no leaks there. See if it's flowing through. Yep, it's coming out. It is a bit dirty. Okay, make sure there's no bugs in the air intake. Fairly clean in there. Good. Alright, we'll see if that starter motor works. So a little push key for choke. Oh, yep, there we go. That's the choke working. Pull those plugs out and have a look. Well, it's definitely getting fuel. Yeah, they're both getting fuel. So we'll check to see if they're sparking. I can hear that sparking, but I think it is shorting out in there somewhere, because I can't actually see the spark there. I'll try the other plug. Yeah, that one's sparking alright. Must be a dodgy plug. That'll explain why it wasn't running too well. Right, new plug. See how that one goes. Not sure if you can see the spark on the camera because of the frame rate, but they're both sparking well. Right, let's see how that goes. Yeah, that's much better. Yep, pumping pretty well. Nice. Yeah. Beautiful. Great. Alright. Turn that outboard down. Oh, that runs beautifully, mate.
Mm.
That sounds perfect, actually. It's nice and quiet for a two-stroke as well. So yeah, it was just that spark plug shorting out internally, I think. It's a nice easy fix for the motor. I can smell the two-stroke oil as well, so I know that it's pumping through okay from here. We'll have a look at that thermostat, make sure it's working okay. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's not too bad actually. Quite often you see them with a lot worse corrosion than that. Yeah, it's looking a bit crusty. That is stuck open, possibly with that salt deposit holding it there. See if we can clear that out. It's stuck open, it's not going down. Grab another one of those. Right, I've got the new thermostat, and you can see how it should sit shut when it's cold, because the old one was stuck open. That's a 50-degree thermostat. Let's see if it opens. Yep, that's opened. Good. And you'll see that close as it cools down. This way you should always flush your engine out, especially after using it in salt water. All this stuff builds up in the cooling passages inside, and if it gets too restricted the water can't get through and then you get overheating problems. This one doesn't look too bad, I've seen a lot worse than this. Just using a non-hardening sealant on there. I'll put some lanolin grease on these bolts, stops them seizing up. Right, that's the new thermostat in there. It should be all good now. Should run a little bit better when it's cold, I think. Right, we'll pull that leg off and have a look at the water pump impeller. See what sort of shape it's in. Just got to separate that gear shift shaft. That's got it. Sometimes the leg bolts can be seized up with corrosion, but these don't feel too bad so far. I think someone has used a anti-seize in there, because they're nice and easy to get out. It's good to see. Got some never seize on there. If you don't do that, they can get stuck in there and then you end up having to drill them out. It can be quite tricky when this plate's in the way. That was easy. First, right. Don't lose this little key here, we need that. Alright, so that's the water pump impeller. Have a look at that. Looks like there's some creases forming there which may turn into cracks. So I think we'll replace that, because it has been in there for quite a few years as well. All the rest of it looks pretty good. There's plenty of life left in that. This is the other thing you've got to watch, that seal around the pipe. Make sure that's not cracked. You want to make sure that the seal is a good fit on the shaft, and that feels good. There's some compression on there. If this seal is cracked or worn out, instead of the water going up the pipe to the cylinder head, it'll come out around the outside here, and then it won't cool the engine properly. So always check that, but that one's good. Wear plate down there, that's fine, that'll be alright for another round. So we'll just give everything a good clean up, get a new one of these, and that'll be good to go. I think everything else is in good condition. Drop the oil out of there, make sure there's no water in it, because we might need to do that seal in there if there is. Let's see. No, that looks fine. Look at those bloody chocks destroying my new boat. That oil is quite filthy, but there's no water in it, so that's good. That means the seals are probably okay. So I'll let that all drain out and put some new oil in there. So I'll squirt it in that lower hole, and when it comes out of this top one, you know it's at the right level. That'll be it. Easier to do it with the leg off like this, so you don't lose much oil. Put it sideways so it doesn't all leak out. Just a little bit more in there. Yep, that's looking good. This motor doesn't appear to have an anode, a sacrificial anode, which is strange. Normally they do. That could be why it's corroded on the leg here. Can't see one. Ah, I see. I think that might be the anode there. The trim. You can see it's eaten away a bit. And yeah, I think that's the anode. The trim tab. Pretty sure. Alright, those linkages are looking a bit dry, so I'll give everything a bit of oil. Just basically all the pivot points and the linkages. Makes everything go a bit smoother. Some grease on there. Now there's some grease points down here as well, so we'll get all those. Oh yeah, that one's pretty dry. that's so much better. It's 10 times easier than it was. Some oil on that starter motor pinion. So I'll just go around and check all the nuts and bolts and see if I can see anything coming loose or corroded. Transom clamps, solid. Right, I'm going to grind off all this corrosion on the leg with a flapper disc and paint that with vinyl edge primer just to try and stop it getting any worse. I'll give that a good wipe down with acetone and then give it a coat of paint. So this is a vinyl etch primer. I did the same thing on an outboard leg that was corroded about 10 years ago, and I've still got the outboard and the paint is still sticking. The corrosion hasn't got any worse, so it does work quite well. So I'll give that another coat once it's dry. That should last for years. Terminals are a little corroded, so we'll give those a clean up. Put a dielectric grease on all these terminals. If it gets splashed with salt water, it's not going to corrode. Bracket has come off, the rivets have rusted away, so I'll reattach that, I think, so the battery's not flopping around. That'll stop that battery bouncing around. Alright, we'll test that bilge pump. Nah, nothing happening there. I'll just bypass the switch and go straight to the battery, see what that does. Yeah, a bit of corrosion on there. Yep, that's going good. So it must be some of these connections maybe. I'll redo all those. You really want these sealed in case you get salt water on them. Let's see what that does. Yep, that's got it. I'll just put a bit of a cover over those wires. Alright, that's a bit tidier. Stops the wires rubbing on the metal and corroding through and shorting out. When that happens, you end up getting electrolysis, and with aluminium hulls that's not a good thing. Once you get a current going through the boat, it starts corroding quite badly. Pull that silver button, mate, and we'll see if the pump works. There we go. Perfect. That's working. That's how you flush the water out of the boat if you get a wave that leaks, or if you get a wave in. The bilge pump sucks all the water out.
We're going to go fishing in this boat.
We will. Yeah, we will go fishing in it. Alright, that'll do you, mate.
Okay.
Yeah, perfect. Works well. Right, the new impeller has arrived. Yep, that's the right one. I'll just put a bit of marine grease on that. It spins that way, so I've got to get the fingers around the right way. Some grease around that joint. That key has to go back in the groove there. That's got to go into that groove there. Grease all these seals. Just put a bit of grease on that down tube so it slips in easy. And got to engage the spline of the shaft into the shifter rod is engaged at the back there. Alright, that's running a lot better now that I've changed that thermostat. It's not letting the cold water through when it first starts, so it's sounding a lot better when it's cold, and it's pumping out plenty of water, so we know that water pump is working. So that's pretty much all I have to do on the outboard. I'm pretty happy with that now. I'm going to have a go at fixing this windscreen. It's got a big crack in it. I got a quote for a new one and it was $1,300. So I probably won't do that just yet. I'll try and glue that with Perspex glue and see if I can get that holding together. I'll just drill at the end of that crack so it doesn't spread any further, and then I'll put some glue in there and see if we can hold it together. It's not ideal, but it's better than nothing, and better than forking out $1,300. So I'll just support the back of the screen with a piece of wood, so hopefully it doesn't shatter up. Oh, that worked okay. It's using a tungsten drill bit, putting very light pressure on it so it didn't shatter the Perspex. Give that a wee clean with acetone. It's all pretty well lined up. Well, I've let that set overnight and it seems to be holding pretty well. Pretty solid now actually. That's good. I guess the true test will be towing it on a bumpy road. See if it stays together, but I mean, it feels pretty good so far. Right, the only thing left to do is to get it off the trailer and get rid of all that rust on that main beam and give it a paint to keep the rust away, and then I think it's ready to go in the water. Just resting the hull on some tyres there, stops the hull getting damaged. Now we can work on this trailer. Just seems like a bit of surface rust there. No big holes there, so I think we've caught it in time. Replace these bolts. What are you doing, Choc Choc? You can't eat rust. That's not very good for you. Well, there's a bit of rust on that bolt, but yeah, still have plenty of strength in it, but we'll replace those bolts anyway. That one's quite worn out and rusty, so that needed replacing. I'm using a bitumen based paint on the axle and springs. That should stop it rusting for a few years. Right, that's all the rust removed from the outside of the main tube. There may be some on the inside as well, there probably is. So I think what I'll do is try and get a wire brush on a pole down there and then spray Fisherline in to stop the rust getting any worse. That's about all I can do, I think. That's the only thing I don't like about these box section boat trailers. It's not easy to deal with the rust on the inside, but at least I can stop it getting any worse. Replace those as well. Right, I'm going to spray a bitumen based paint down the centre there, and that'll soak into any rust and stop it getting any worse. So I'm putting some silicone between the two frames, and that'll stop salt water creeping into that joint and rusting it. I like to put grease on the hub face on trailers that will be used in salt water, because if you don't change the tyre for years, it'll rust in between, and then when you go to get that wheel off, it's sort of seized on there by the rust. So you put a bit of grease on there, makes it so much easier to get that wheel off next time. Just put some marine grease on these roller pins. That should keep the water out for a few years. Get it right in the middle. Oh, well, that's all the rust taken out of the trailer and given it a paint job, so that should be good for years now. Alright mate, what do you reckon? Should we take it out fishing?
Yeah.
It's looking pretty good now, eh?
Yeah.
Giving it a good tidy up. Got that motor running well, and she's ready to go in the water.